Hello, my name is Sophia and I'm 35 years old. I want to share an interesting story about a pivotal moment in my life where I had to act swiftly, as I am not one to be easily fooled. Contrary to many similar stories, I had a wonderful relationship with my mother-in-law initially. Our connection was seamless, filled with warmth and mutual respect, and seemed flawless. My husband Gerald was my soulmate, partner in all escapades and my closest ally. From where I stood, our life together appeared idyllic. It's important to clarify that this isn't just a figment of my imagination. Sure, like any family, we had our disagreements, but there were no major warning signs. Everything appeared stable. Yet, an unexpected series of events soon unfolded, leaving me utterly shocked. I'm going to tell you about this incident and explain why I felt compelled to seek revenge on both my husband and mother-in-law. I had organized something very special for our family, a vacation meant initially just for Gerald and me. However, considering the loneliness of Kayla, my widowed mother-in-law, I decided to include her as well. I covered most of the trip's costs, including accommodations, meals, and activities. Gerald and Kayla were only responsible for their extra expenses. I planned for us to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience in Italy, wandering through the vibrant streets of Barcelona, indulging in antipasti, and soaking up the Mediterranean sun. I was excited about the prospect of creating unforgettable memories and strengthening our bonds. Little did I know that this grand adventure would lead to revelations that would undermine my trust and disrupt the ideal image of our family unit. Returning to that pivotal day, brimming with hope and excitement for our Italy getaway, I stood in the living room, tickets in hand, smiling broadly. As I gathered Gerald and Kayla, their puzzled looks turned to curiosity. With a dramatic flair, I unveiled the surprise, anticipating their joy and gratitude. Gerald's face brightened with genuine excitement. "Sophia, you truly are remarkable," he exclaimed. I was filled with anticipation, eagerly looking forward to the start of our incredible journey. Kayla, meanwhile, offered a gentler smile, her wise eyes meeting mine. "Oh, my dear Sophia, you've outdone yourself. This is a gift beyond measure," she said softly. "I'm deeply touched," she expressed in that moment. I felt a surge of pride and contentment. Their reactions validated the love and effort I had poured into planning this surprise. I saw the vacation as a bonding agent that would solidify our relationships, creating unforgettable experiences and strengthening our ties, which already seemed invincible. Yet, as you might guess, our story soon takes a dark turn. Underneath the surface of our perfect relations lay a tangled web of deceit and betrayal, poised to ensnare us all. When the truth came to light, it tested the boundaries of forgiveness and the very essence of what it means to be a family. As planned, we boarded the plane, embarking on our much-anticipated adventure. The first week in Italy passed without a hitch. As we immersed ourselves in the vibrant local culture, savored delicious jambalaya, explored historical sites, and moved to the lively beats of flamenco. Laughter and joy were abundant, and I was convinced more than ever that nothing could break our strong bond. However, unbeknownst to me, a storm was gathering, ready to strike and shatter my unsuspecting heart. On a sunny Monday morning, as golden light washed over the city, I awoke alone in an empty hotel room. A mix of confusion and anxiety took hold as I frantically dialed both my husband's and Kayla's numbers, praying for an answer. But there was only silence, their voices notably absent. Fear started to claw at me as I searched the vacant room for any sign of them. No notes, no bags, nothing to indicate where they might have gone. Just an eerie quiet that weighed heavily in the air. I felt abandoned in a foreign country, with each minute stretching into what seemed like an eternity. Just as despair was about to overwhelm me, a glimmer of hope appeared. My phone buzzed with an incoming call from Kayla. A wave of relief mixed with confusion and hurt washed over me. How could she just leave without saying anything? With a trembling hand, I answered the call, my voice a mixture of worry and disbelief. "Kayla, where are you? What happened?" I asked urgently. Kayla's voice came through, tinged with resignation and frustration, adding to the strangeness of the situation. However, the voice on the other end was not the warm, familiar tone I was used to. It was markedly colder. "Sophia, I felt I had to return your call since my phone kept ringing," she said. "Oh, I'm sorry for disturbing you. I was just worried when I noticed you both were gone and your bags weren't here. I feared something terrible had happened," I replied, my voice filled with genuine concern. Her next words were delivered with a chilling indifference that shook me to the core. "We left you? But why? What happened? Did I do something to upset you?" I asked, bewildered. "Yes, I mean, how could you not see it? Honestly, Sophia, you just decided on this trip and assumed I'd be okay being dragged along. I couldn't keep pretending," she explained, her tone sharp and unyielding. "Let me make this very clear. I don't enjoy spending time with you. A few hours at a family gathering is fine, but 3 weeks? I tried to bear it, to give you my company as long as I could. Turns out, I could only handle a week before I felt like I was losing my mind. I'm sorry, but Gerald and I are on our way to the airport right now. We can't be around you any longer." The shock hit me like a bolt of lightning, unraveling the threads of trust I had naively woven. How could our bond, which seemed so strong, crumble under the weight of these unspoken grievances? My mind raced with questions. What had I done wrong? How did things escalate to this point? Was there no chance for reconciliation? Confusion and heartache intertwined within me, the sting of betrayal seeping deep into my soul. "I didn't know you felt this way, Kayla," I responded, my voice quivering. "And you had no reason to think I assumed all was well. Why didn't you bring this up earlier? Why not sit down with me so we could discuss whatever issues we had? Honestly, I still don't understand what I've done to offend you." "That's the thing, Sophia. I can't pinpoint it either," she admitted, her voice a mix of frustration and resignation. "But you just irk me," she said abruptly. Her words struck me unexpectedly. "What? That's incredibly childish," I retorted, unable to hide my astonishment. "You can't stand me just because you're irked by something you can't even explain? Kayla, you need to grow up. I thought I had genuinely offended you, but it sounds like there isn't anything specific I've done wrong, is there?" "Not necessarily, but that doesn't change how I feel. You annoy me, Sophia, and I just can't stand being around you," she admitted bluntly. "If that's really how you feel, then why agree to come on this trip with us?" I questioned, still trying to grasp the situation. Because it was a free trip to Italy, who would turn down that? But as each day passed, I found myself getting more and more irritated by your behavior, she explained. "What behavior, Kayla? What did I do that was so terrible you felt the need to leave me stranded in a foreign country?" I pressed, seeking some kind of rational explanation. She hesitated, her silence growing, which only heightened my frustration with this sudden disdain that seemed to come out of nowhere. I was shocked, hurt, confused, and angry. But above all, I felt profoundly sad. Needing answers, I asked to speak with my husband Gerald. Perhaps he could shed some light on the situation. Handing the phone to Gerald seemed casual to Kayla, as if she assumed he had been listening to our entire conversation. When Gerald spoke, his voice carried the same indifference as his mother's. "Hello? Gerald? You decided to leave me too?" I asked, disbelief coloring my tone. "I didn't leave because I don't like you. I left because my mother-in-law needed me to take her home," Gerald responded, his voice flat. "So, you knew about all of this? How long have you been aware of your mother's dislike for me?" "For some time now. I was hoping this trip would help her feel closer to you, but obviously I was mistaken," he confessed, But why didn't any of you talk to me about this? We're adults. If there's an issue, we should be able to discuss it and resolve it. It's not like we haven't managed to work through disagreements before. What's different this time? I asked, searching for some logic in their actions. Gerald didn't reply, mirroring the silence I had from his mother earlier. The only conclusion I could draw from this bewildering debacle was that his mother disliked me for reasons that even she might not fully understand. Perhaps she was jealous, or maybe I represented something she felt she couldn't have. As her vague excuses filled the air, I couldn't help but think she avoided confrontation to prevent sounding ridiculous. Am I right in thinking that you're avoiding the real issues here? I asked. The silence that followed seemed to confirm my suspicions. I was genuinely taken aback. I'm shocked to learn you both feel this way about me, I told them, still processing the sudden revelation. I hope you have a safe flight back. With that, I ended the call and began pacing around the hotel room, my mind racing to make sense of everything. 35 years of life have taught me that sometimes people harbor ill feelings without any clear reason, often driven by jealousy or bitterness. What I hadn't expected was to encounter such sentiments from my own family. As the tears flowed, I experienced a profound realization. It was a moment of clarity where I decided to take my fate into my own hands and seek retribution against those who had wronged me without justification. A pivotal moment that would forever alter my life's trajectory. Drying my tears, a newfound resolve surged within me. I refused to let their disregard for my feelings continue unchallenged. It was time to show them that they couldn't just trample over my heart without consequences. With shaking hands, I dialed my childhood friend Nathan's number. He was someone I could trust with my deepest secrets. After I shared the painful details of the betrayal, I tentatively asked for his help in my quest for justice. Nathan, ever the loyal and slightly mischievous friend, listened with a mix of concern and excitement. Sophia, my dear, you're a force to be reckoned with. You know you can count on me for anything. So, what's the plan? Well, Nathan, you know how your construction company always ends up with excess sawdust? It's always such a hassle to dispose of, I began, sparking his curiosity. Yes, that stuff gets everywhere, he agreed, intrigued. I think I found the perfect use for it. My voice was steady as I outlined my plan like a scriptwriter crafting a pivotal scene. We would deliver bags of sawdust to Kayla's house, ensuring it infiltrated every nook and cranny, a chaotic and unforgettable reminder of her deceit. Nathan couldn't help but smile at the ingenuity of the plan, the gears turning in his head as he imagined the scene. Marveling at the cleverness of my plan, I felt a surge of satisfaction. This was going to be a subtle yet potent reminder to Kayla of the turmoil she had inflicted upon my life. Armed with Nathan's know-how and my newfound resolve, we set our scheme into motion. The immediate challenge was gaining access to the house before they returned. You need to use the spare key hidden under the potted plant on the patio, and then you're in, I instructed. Wow, you've thought of everything, huh? Nathan commented, impressed. I'm usually a reasonable person, but if they're going to act petty, I'm ready to outdo them, I declared, feeling a mix of righteousness and mischief. As the hours ticked by, the anticipation within me grew. Nathan eventually texted to confirm that our mission was accomplished. I would soon see the fallout from our intricately laid plan. Then, like a sweet melody, my phone chimed with a message from Nathan. I eagerly opened the pictures he sent, revealing a sight to behold. Kayla's once immaculate home now looked like a scene from a dystopian film, overwhelmed by a sea of sawdust. Every corner had been visited by our mischievous hands, a tangible echo of the chaos she had brought into my life. I called Nathan, and his laughter rang through the phone, a sound so contagious that I couldn't help but join in. It was a moment of cathartic release, a shared triumph over those who had wronged us. Naughty can be so satisfying, my friend, he chuckled, and I thanked him deeply for walking this daring path with me. As time passed, the anticipation of their reaction grew almost unbearable. I imagined Gerald and Kayla's shocked faces as they walked through the door of their once cherished home, now a testament to their deceit. It was a thrilling mixture of nerves and vindication. Hours later, my phone buzzed with an urgency that jolted me. It was Gerald, his voice a cocktail of panic and disbelief, describing the disarray that greeted them. The house, blanketed in sawdust, stood as a bold statement of their betrayal. My heart fluttered with wicked delight as I listened to his exasperated explanations. At that moment, I knew my message had been delivered with unmistakable clarity. Their actions had consequences, and the turmoil they had caused was now visiting them in full measure. "Sophia, it's just awful. Mother-in-law is beside herself," Gerald conveyed, his voice strained. I chose that moment to unveil my involvement. "It serves you both right. How could you just leave me stranded without a legitimate reason?" I declared firmly. "Sophia, was this your doing?" The background commotion and wails halted abruptly. I then heard my mother-in-law's voice demanding the phone. "Give me that," she shouted into the earpiece. "How could you do this to us? To me? I have no idea what you're talking about. Have you ever considered this might just be karma?" I responded coolly. "Oh, come on, Sophia. We all know it was you. Who else would have access to my home?" Kayla retorted, her voice sharp with accusation. "It's surprisingly easy to break into homes these days, Kayla, especially if there are no security cameras, which, by the way, you might want to think about installing to avoid situations like this in the future," I advised, barely masking my smugness. "Sophia, how could you do this? Where are we supposed to sleep? This sawdust is everywhere, even making my lungs hurt," she lamented. "Oh, that's unfortunate. You probably forgot I had the keys to my house, huh? Well, that's a shame. I guess you two might need to find another hotel to stay at. But for how long? Until I decide to return from my vacation, I suppose. I did pay for 3 weeks after all, and who knows? I might even feel like extending my stay." Gerald then snatched the phone from Kayla, who resumed her lament over her ruined furniture. "Sophia, this was foul. How could you do this? I don't know why you assume I had anything to do with it. How could I? I'm currently relaxing in the hotel jacuzzi. How could I possibly manage that?" I retorted, my tone feigning ignorance. I struggled to hold back laughter as the two of them grappled with confusion, clearly unsure of what had transpired even though they suspected my hand in it, which, of course, there was, but they lacked any concrete evidence, so I reveled in the glory of knowing they were seething with frustration, yet had no solid ground to direct their anger. As I ended the call with Gerald, a wave of satisfaction washed over me. I had reclaimed my narrative, leaving them to wrestle with the repercussions of their actions. I'm aware that what I did was quite severe, and admittedly, even dangerous given Kayla's age. Spending even one night in that house could lead to serious health issues. However, I was confident they wouldn't consider staying there. The place was too compromised to be habitable. They would have to resort to a hotel stay for a while longer. Since I didn't want my money to go to waste, I extended my stay in Italy for another week, savoring the culture just as I had planned. Meanwhile, my husband and mother-in-law were likely scrambling to find a cleaning service willing to tackle the formidable task of cleaning the house. I wasn't sure how long it would take to get the house professionally cleaned, but I knew that in the meantime, my mother-in-law would end up staying at my home, which would undoubtedly irritate her, given her aversion to my company. This scenario should serve as a reminder that sometimes people need to learn the hard way. If you find yourself in a position to serve your brand of justice, then by all means, do so. Give people a real reason to be upset. Sometimes the only way to make your point clear is to take bold, decisive action, even if it stirs the pot.